Welcome back to QP Only Ironman. Last episode we left off by finishing Prince Ali rescue. This episode I'm going to start by doing two quests in Falador Castle, Black Knight's Fortress and the Knight's Sword. To prepare for those, I collected the required resources for both quests at the same time, which mostly meant I bought the guard disguise and I collected ingredients for a red berry pie. In this episode I'll be doing a couple of quests that don't really involve that many long-term goals, but which are still kind of useful to progress my account a bit further in the short term. Anyway, after having collected all the required items for those quests, I baked the red berry pie on the range in Falador Castle, which is within sight of the start of Black Knight's Fortress. Also in range of that quest start, I noticed the Falador guard walking just south of the bank. So I tried to get him to move closer to the quest start, which ended up with me having a bit of a dance with the guard. Because the first arrow I shot was from outside his range, he just kept running away from me, even when I walked straight past him, which meant I could position him in just the right way. He eventually stood at the closest spot possible to the quest start, which meant I could pickpocket him to tick off the achievement. I then got going with the quest and read the self-destructing dossier, which wasn't really all that useful. I followed the instructions though and infiltrated the fortress. I moved through their very badly designed architecture, which they made so that nobody, not even them, would be able to efficiently walk through the building. After navigating through it, I reached their conveniently placed spying grill, where I listened in on their conversation. Having found out what their plans are, even though I didn't really know what a magic cabbage had to do with making a bomb, I made my way back through the building and went upstairs from the cauldron and threw a regular cabbage into the also conveniently placed sabotaging hole, which somehow destroyed their entire cauldron. I reported back with ceramic vase and got my reward of 2.5 thousand gold coins. I then went to Survive in Squire to start the next quest, the Knight's Sword. He told me to go visit Reldo in Varrock, so I went to Varrock to talk to Reldo, but because I noticed there were a few imps walking outside, I tried to kill a few of them to get a chef's hat. They didn't really feel like dropping any though, so I had to kill a lot of them, to the point of me figuring out their spawn points, spawn rates and the places they got stuck the most, despite RuneLight not showing any of those. I even got a ranged and hit points level in the process. After getting almost a full inventory of semi-useful items from the imps, I finally got the chef's hat, which would be useful in the future to obtain pies for food or just for boosts. I then had a chat with Reldo, who told me to go visit Thurgo in his beach house. I went there to smith the iron kite shield I still needed for my clue scroll, and to make myself some studded armor. I made a small mistake with the studded body though, since I brought my hard leather body even though I needed a regular leather body to make the studded body instead. Then before progressing the quest, I got my items for the clue scroll and completed the first step. There I got another clue scroll, which made me go to the fishing trawler docks. I then went back to Thurgo to smith a few more steel bars and to hand him a red berry pie, which would allow me to steal Survivin's sword portrait. Before going back to Falador, I stopped by the fishing trawler docks for my second clue step, which already got me the casket. The rewards weren't great, but at least it's something. Back in Falador, I got the portrait of the sword and then I went back to Thurgo to show it to him, who told me to get some bluerite ore. Instead of mining the bluerite right away, I first wanted to get a gear upgrade from the ice giants, namely a black kite shield. Down there I also crafted my studded body and got a whole bunch of levels by killing the giants. After a couple of these levels I got the black kite shield, but I decided I'd continue training there for a bit longer to get my levels up some more. When I got a full inventory, I went to bank at the Void Knight outpost, which I reached by using the minigame teleport. That also got me my first Western Provinces achievement. As you can see here, the loot wasn't that bad, but not great either. The gems, coins and runes were probably the best part. For the second trip, I bought some runes to also train my magic up a bit. Doing that got me a whole bunch of magic levels. Of course, with such a low level to begin with, the levels were pretty easy to get. After a while I even got a rare drop, a loop half of a key. After getting a bunch more levels, I went to the Void Knight bank again, and then went on with my quests by mining an inventory of Bluerite and of course trying to evade the damage by the Ice Warriors. I hopped a few worlds to fill up my inventory. After doing so, I did some smithing on Thurgo's anvil, using the Void Knight outpost as a bank again. At one point I got a strange fruit random event, and because I wanted to keep the fruit, I decided to juggle my hammer to take the fruit to my bank. I made it back in time and continued smithing. I used up all my steel bars to get 41 smithing, and then after smithing all my steel bars I got a sword made by Thurgo and had another one commissioned for myself. And after that I handed in the sword at the squire to complete the quest. Remember that Slayer task I got in a previous episode? I'm going to do that. During Mountain Daughter there is an objective to go to the White Wolf Mountain, so since that quest doesn't really unlock anything else interesting for me, I might as well do it now and complete my Slayer task. So I sneakily entered the camp to talk to the chief, who, unlike the guard at the entrance, didn't seem to mind me entering the camp at all, and then I got sent on this quest by him. I grabbed some mud from the puddle to use on the slippery tree, and climbed over to the center of the lake, where I talked to the spirit of the chief's daughter, who told me the village was kind of screwed in multiple ways, and she wanted me to help the village. I had a chat with a villager, who told me about some hardy fruit found at the White Wolf Mountain, which is quite a coincidence because I just happened to have a wolf slayer task. So I went to the mountain and abused the fact that the vision of wolves is based on movement. I stood in this specific square for long enough to wait out the de-aggro timer, and after waiting it out, I could safe spot the wolf I wanted to kill for this task, which was the one big wolf running around here. Because I wouldn't be able to do that many different Slayer tasks on this account, I wanted to make the most of it by getting as much Slayer experience as possible during one task, so I wanted to kill the highest level monsters of the type I had access to. With such a low Slayer level and such a relatively high level monster, I got loads of Slayer levels during this one task, and even managed to get a couple of range levels in between. On the final kill of this first Slayer task, I got my Slayer level up to 17. After which I went to Turiel right away to get my next Slayer task. He assigned birds, which I would not be able to do during this quest. So to move on with the quest, I talked to Svidi and then completed his job by talking to Brunt in his longhole in Relica. He asked for a special rock in return for having the peace talks, so I went to Hamal and gave him the fruit seed and asked him about the rock. He said I couldn't take the rock, so I just destroyed it and managed to fit such a large piece in my pocket. Somehow the guy standing outside noticed me walking with a huge bulge in my pants, but I managed to convince him it wasn't their rock. I presented the rock to Brunt, who accepted the gift and agreed to talk to Svidi. After informing Svidi about it, I told Hamal, who then sent me to find his daughter. I had a chat with her spirit again and then went to find her body, or rather her skeleton. Her body was protected by some kind of half man, half bear and I'm assuming half pig, so I had to kill him before taking the corpse. After killing him, I grabbed part of his epic costume and then took the daughter's remains as well. As per Hamal's request, I got Aslife's necklace and buried her with it in the middle of the lake. At that point I had finished the quest and gained a prayer level. Next up I looked for a quest that had birds within the quest's area so that I could do that quest for Slayer. I decided on doing the Corsair Cove quest, because that also gives access to ogresses, which drop some really nice gear upgrades. To prepare fighting the ogresses, I got some arrows at Lowe's again, and bought a few gear upgrades in Narda. While being in Narda anyway, I also got one of my herbs cleaned, just in case I got a jackal random event. I then talked to the captain to sail to the Corsair Cove, and then killed a few seagulls outside the house that was my objective. I didn't get any levels this time, but at least now I could get another task, which turned out to be cows. I then progressed the Corsair Curse quest a bit further, so that I would get to the point of accessing the ogresses. To do that, I listened to a couple of crazy pirate stories and checked out what they were talking about, at which point it turned out all of their stories were unrelated to the curse. I reported back to the crew and then talked to the captain to get my most important quest item for this quest, the Ogresses Toothpick. Having this meant I needed to talk to the ogres at the entrance of the cave, which meant I could start killing her friends. These ogresses dropped the rune full helm, rune battle axe and the mithril guide shield, of which the latter was easy to get, with the rune med helm following quickly after that. In my first inventory I got 2 more of each of those, as well as a bunch of other useful items, which I then all dumped on my bank in Alcarid. To get back to the Cove, I used the Portrim jail shortcut again, but instead of taking the 4 XP on the exception counter, I simply hopped to a free-to-play world to get out of jail, where I would not be able to get any thieving experience from unlocking the door. Getting back to the cave, the kindest player ever saved my safe spot from me and gave it back after I returned. So shout out to Zero to Heroer. I got a few levels before getting the next gear upgrade, and then after a while I got my first rare upgrade, the Rune Battle Axe. This would be my best weapon, at least until getting into the Champions Guild. I then went dry on the Rune Full Helm for a while, but luckily the grind got spiced up a bit by a maze random event. And although the steel and iron arrows and coins aren't the best loot, at least I could use the arrows here. Just after the maze event I did get a longbone from an ogress though, so that makes up for the bad reward earlier. When I had to bank again, I had another 2 rune med helms and 2 myth guide shields, with still no sign of a rune full helm. Getting back I used the get out of jail free trick again, and then got back to killing the ogresses. And then halfway through the inventory I finally got the drop I was looking for, the rune full helm. After that I finished filling up my inventory with a couple more kills, getting a few more levels. And after banking I got back to the Cove with a free to play trick again, this time bringing the toothpick with me to progress the quest. I would kill a few more ogresses though, just to reach the hit points and defense levels I almost reached. Surprisingly, on the second kill of this trip I got another rune battle axe, so I guess that's a bit of good luck after such a long grind for the rune full. I got the levels I wanted and then continued the quest further. I figured out the curse was not caused by the hundreds of ogresses I killed, so it must have been the guy who poisoned the food the evening before. Now to find the motive. Turns out the navigator was about to get fired and wanted to keep his job. So I confronted him about it and then I just set his house on fire. But sadly he quickly put it out. I told the captain that the navigator could walk, which was enough reason for the captain to have the navigator killed. So I killed that bastard for being able to walk. And after that I claimed my reward with the captain, leaving all of the poisoned crew behind. Quest complete. The next quest I did was just for the attack XP reward, Fight Arena. This quest doesn't really unlock any nice skilling methods, so I might as well just do it now. With the guard armor on, I smoothly persuaded my way into the building and I talked to Sammy, who told me the place to be was the guard in the southern room. Before moving on with the quest though, I decided to add the studs I made earlier this video to some leather bodies which I bought in Varrock. This resulted in me getting a couple of crafting levels by attaching the studs, and then I went to Varrock to sell the bodies to the store. When I got locked out of Hopping Worlds, I went to the pickaxe store to buy a rune pickaxe, and after selling the rest of the bodies my final cash tag had grown to over 160k. I was then planning on mining some iron in the nearby mine, but after I mined just 2 inventories I decided it was way too far from the bank to efficiently mine here, with just 2 rocks near each other. So I didn't even bother mining there much longer and then quickly moved on with the quest by buying the boost for the Khazard guard so that he would hand me the keys to Sammy's cell. I then set Sammy free and then Sammy and I went into the arena where I killed the first enemy. General Khazard didn't like me killing his pets though, so he locked me up so that he can make me kill more of his pets later. After a chat with my roommate I got released back into the arena where I first killed his weakest scorpion ever, and then finally killed his pet doggy. Even though Khazard then said he wanted to kill me himself, he didn't seem to want to stop me when I left the arena, and he didn't even try hitting me, so I decided to de-escalate the situation by leaving. I went back to Lady Serval to claim my reward and then finish up the quest. Doing so leveled up my attack by 3 levels. With this quest done though, I'm going to finish up this episode. Next episode I'll be doing a quest that has by far the most interesting content for my account. It basically involves me kind of inventing a new skill, so I hope you'll stay tuned to check out that video as well. That's it for now though, see ya!